Hey guys, welcome back to Arry the Stag. TR Tony here on a Sunday. Sat in the Eddy the S, actually, a 2500S, which you will have seen us put the engine back in, or made a start on it earlier in the year. I've had an offer that I can't refuse. I was talking to Alan the other day, and given the weather being as it is, he's offered very kindly to have it at his garage, and he's going to try and put it back together for us in a lot quicker time than I can ever do. So I've actually taken him up on the offer, which is really great, very kind. Obviously we've put a bit of business this way over the years, so he's doing us a big favour by doing that. And it also means we'll get Eddy the S back on the road a lot quicker than we would have done otherwise. So kind of don't like admitting defeat, but we have to be practical. We're into the winter now, and I've got really tough access to it in the outside elements and stuff. So Alan's coming up to pick it up tomorrow. The only issue is I've got to take the prop shaft off, because that's hanging off the back of the diff. You may remember it was loose on the engine before, so we've got to do that now, and that's what I'm going to do the job today, just to get that clear. So the plan is to get the car in the garage, away, ready, and then he can come and collect it tomorrow and take it off to his garage. So let's just have a quick look underneath and see what I've been doing. Okay, so here's the famous registration, and if you look carefully, Eddy's. Thinking of phoning up the Newcastle manager to see if he's interested in a number plate. So let's just have a look under here. Obviously it's safely supported, and if I can just wriggle underneath the back here without breaking too much. I've been having a look under here. You can see that the differential is actually a little bit wet. I've got a little bit of oil coming out, I think, from the oil seal on the drive shaft on the left there. I'll show you that again in just a minute. And obviously the nose of the differential's up the far end there, and that's where the prop shaft is attached, which you can see is dropped down onto the ground. It needs cleaning up properly before we ever put it back in, of course. So we'll do that, but if I just wriggle underneath, I'll show you what's been going on. Okay, so this is the underside view, as you can see, and there's the differential. I don't know if you can get that, but I'm very wet. Just around here you can see, I think it's leaking from the seal then on the drive shaft. In fact, I'm not sure that should be sticking out like that, so I'll probably have to get that looked at. And then further up, as we wriggle under the car, this side's not too bad, although there is a little bit of oil there, as you can see, but the telltale marks of oil travelling along the diff is definitely there. And this is where I'm getting to here. I've already removed one of the bolts. If I can just wriggle about. Sorry about this, it's a bit tricky upside down. So I've got one of them out here, which took a bit of effort, and I've got 3 more to get out, such that this then comes off the flange, because of course as we move the differential, you'll be seeing the wheels move as well, with the prop shaft, sorry. So that's obviously got to be avoided if we're going to get it onto a low loader and put into Alan's garage. So I'm going to cack on with these. I'll show them off the car in just a second. I think they're 9/16, but they're quite tricky to get hold of and get into. If I can just move one of the wheels, maybe it'll turn a bit. Yeah, there we are. So you can see there's one there. That's my next one. Now, I was able to do it by hand, luckily, which is really good news, with 2 spanners, counter kind of pressure wise, and that seemed to release it. I don't know how I'm going to get on the other 3, but obviously I'm going to give it a go. One top tip is to mark across the flanges such that the prop shaft goes back onto the flange in the way that it came off, because obviously, as you can see up here, it's been balanced before. That little bit of metal on the side there has obviously been a balancing weight that's been applied at high speed to make sure that the prop shaft is always ringing true. So if you don't put it back on the right way, of course, that weight might not be in the right place after that, which isn't good, and then you'll get the resonation and the thing will start humming as you're going along. So it's important to get it back on the same way it came off, bolt hole to bolt hole, if you know what I mean. So that's my plan now. So let's go out and have a look and see what we can see with the other bolt that's come off. Incidentally, if you ever want to top up your gearbox, I beg pardon, your differential, then that little square nut there you can see in the middle, I can't point because I can't get my hands up there, but is basically there. That's where your top up oil goes in there, that square peg. You just undo that and then put your differential oil in there till it slightly overflows, and then nip it back up again. It's just in that little square plug there. The nose doesn't look too bad from what I can see, looks okay. So there we are. Right, let's get out of here if I can. Okay, now maybe a bit Janet and John, but here is the bolt, and I think that's a locking nut on the top. It's got, maybe not, it needed a washer, which it didn't have on. It kind of confirms my view that this car has been resurrected before. It's been slightly turned as well, as you can see there on the nut. So I'll probably get new bolts and nuts for this, and we could do with a washer or two, but 9/16 is the measurement, and it's tricky to try and get into, but that's what I've got to carry on and try and do now. Okay, so now we are underneath. Back again, just to show you, I've made a little mark there, that scraped mark on both flanges, so that when we come to put it back together, we'll make sure that it's matched up to the right spot. I might try and find some Tipp-Ex in a minute and do that, but that should hopefully make sure that we get back in the right way with the right weights in the appropriate places. So there you go. Right, let's have a look at these bolts and see if I can undo them. Okay, so we made good progress here. We've actually got 3 of the 4 bolts out. Sorry I couldn't share with you, but I'm upside down, hanging upside down here, and you can just see there that the diff has now come away from the flange. This is the back of the that's the front of the differential here, and the flange is now coming out. I'll show you off the car in a minute. I've got one little bolt left in there because I wanted to make sure it didn't come clattering down on my head, and I've just now got to take out this last bolt, which is up here somewhere, and we'll just remove finally from the car. So happy days. Okay, so we've got the prop shaft off the car. Doesn't look like it's been on the car that long, according to this, because that looks like a reconditioned Borg Warner 35 Auto, which is obviously what the gearbox is on the front end of this one. Here's the flanger just removed, which you can see. Put the bolts back in just for safety, and I've done a little white Tipp-Ex mark there to mark the flange and where it should connect up with the differential. So that's all good, and ready to be sent off with the car. It's got various balancing weights on it by the looks of it, which is interesting. And also just draw your attention to the grease nipple. I don't know if you can see that there, but there's a tiny little grease nipple there. So traditionally in the 70s you had to put a proper high pressure grease gun on there, squeeze in some grease into these joints, because that's a universal joint obviously, and needs to be free. Feels pretty good at the minute. It's not gritty or anything, so that's good. And I believe you can get kits to fix these simply by taking these circlips out and releasing that little cross bit in here, and you can get kits to refurbish, although this one feels pretty good to me. So that's the end that goes on the differential. It's literally just a flange on a flange held by 4 bolts with no washers. Suspect there should be some there. And then at the other end here, this is the drive end, and obviously needs a bit of a clean because, as you can see, it's rusted up over a period of time, so that needs properly emerying down and then re-greasing a little bit, such that when it goes into the gearbox itself, it's not going to cause any damage to the oil seal, with thanks to the guys, Andy in Wales, for just pointing that out a few weeks ago, who sold us the replacement Borg Warner 35 gearbox. And this as well has a grease nipple too, look, that just needs to be tipped up from time. As part of your service, you just give them a good squirt of grease, and that gets into the joints here and make sure that the thing can maneuver 360 in any direction as it's powering this quite light pipe. Actually, they're not that heavy. It's all hollow. Again, got some more balancing things there, but that's it. That's a good job. I'm very pleased. So now we've got to get the car out and get it off to Alan's tomorrow. And just quickly, I just thought I'd show you the inside of that drive end I showed you a minute ago. You can see there the flange at the other end. This end they've actually got splines in, so that engages with the drive of the gearbox, the rear of the gearbox. So that's what gives you your drive on the inside. So yes, we'll clean out the outside, of course, so it slips in nicely, because this slides in and out of the rear of the box. But the splines You can just see there are what grips the drive shaft coming out of the gearbox of the Borg Warner. Okay, and we've just managed to put a little bit of a mark on this end of the flange as well. So on the front of the differential, I've just put a little bit of Tipex on the front of that. So hopefully that now will mark up where the flange on the prop shaft goes to the flange on the front of the diff. All right guys, so a pretty easy job this weekend. 4 bolts. I didn't know we could make a whole video about 4 bolts, but hopefully you've learned a little bit more about the differential, how you grease it, the universal joints and which end goes to which part of the car, whether it's gearbox at the front or in the differential at the back. I'm going to have to get those differential oil seals looked at and the drive shafts, the rear drive shafts, because clearly they are leaking, so it'd be false economy just to have it put back together without those being done. It's a fairly straightforward job, I think, so I'm going to ask Alan just to, whilst he's under there, get into that and do that. So now it's a question of putting everything in the car. I think the low loader's coming over tomorrow, and we'll get it back to Alan's to get it back on the road at last. I'm quite looking forward to it. As I say, it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks, so bear with us whilst we do that, but I'll try and visit him a few times and see how progress is being made, and look forward to driving it around in due course. There you go guys, that's it for this week. Have a really great week wherever you are, and thanks for watching. Please feel free to like, share and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and join us on Saturday for our Saturday Sockets email. That's always a good read, and we'll see you online on Arry the Stag very soon. Cheers for now guys, all the best, bye. Arry the Stag.